He wasn't just a fighter, he was a prodigy, the youngest UFC champion in history. A man with freakish talent, unmatched confidence, and a body built for combat. Jon Bones Jones didn't just enter the octagon, he owned it. But what happens when brilliance meets chaos? When fame fuels temptation, and when the man who beat everyone becomes his own worst enemy. From luxury cars to hit-and runs, from drug tests to dollar signs, from glory to disgrace again and again. Jon Jones built an empire with his fists, and nearly lost it all with his choices. In this 50-minute deep dive, we're taking you beyond the headlines and inside the life of one of the most controversial athletes in sports history. We'll walk you through his childhood, his rise to greatness, and the career-defining falls that shocked the world. We'll show you his jaw-dropping mansion, insane car collection, private jets, business deals, net worth, family life, and yes, the scandals that still follow him. You think you know Jon Jones? Think again. Because this isn't just the story of a champion. It's the story of a legend who almost lost it all and keeps fighting back. Before the headlines, before the UFC gold, before the chaos, there was just Jon. Born in Rochester, New York, Jon Jones grew up in a strict and spiritual household. His father was a pastor. Church came first. Discipline was expected, and violence, not exactly part of the plan, but even as a kid, there was something different about him. While other kids dreamed about video games, Jon dreamed of dominance. He was restless, intense, always moving, always competing. The Jones household wasn't just built on faith. It was built on competition. Arthur Jones would become an NFL defensive lineman. Chandler Jones, Super Bowl champion, and Jon. Well, Jon was the wild card. In high school, Jon wrestled with fire in his bones. He wasn't the biggest or strongest, but he was smarter, more technical, more aggressive. They started calling him Bones because of his skinny frame, but that name would one day strike fear in the entire UFC. Still, even as he racked up wrestling championships and showed promise in martial arts, no one, not even his family, would have predicted how fast he'd rise. Or how far he'd fall. The preacher's son was about to become the prodigy. And the world was about to meet Jon Bones Jones. 2008. Most fighters work years just to get noticed. Jon Jones, he got a UFC call after just 2 weeks' notice. And from the second he stepped inside the cage, people knew. This guy was different. He had unorthodox elbows, freakish shady 4-inch reach, ruthless ground control, and a calmness most rookies didn't have. Jon wasn't just fighting. He was dissecting opponents. As his win streak grew, so did the buzz. Every fight, a highlight reel. By 23, he made history. In 2011, Jon Jones became the youngest champion in UFC history. He destroyed Shogun Rua to claim the light heavyweight crown, and then he didn't slow down. Rampage Jackson. Outclassed, Lyoto Machida choked into silence. Each defense wasn't just a win, it was domination, but it wasn't just his talent that drew eyes. It was the way he carried himself, calm, calculated, almost too confident. Fans were amazed. Others started to sense the storm beneath the surface. Then came the Daniel Cormier feud, the rivalry that would define a generation. To undefeated beasts one, the company man the other, the wild card. Jones was on top of the world, undefeated, untouchable, unstoppable. But when you rise that fast, the fall hits even harder. But with greatness came destruction. Jon Jones wasn't just fighting inside the octagon. He was fighting himself. 2015, cocaine. Jon tests positive during a championship camp. The fans were shocked. Sponsors dropped him. But it wouldn't be the last time. 2016, a hit-and run. Jones crashed into a pregnant woman's car, then ran from the scene. The UFC stripped his title. Again. 2017, a steroid scandal. Jones defeated Daniel Cormier in a brutal rematch only to test positive for turinabol right after. The victory was overturned. Another title gone. He didn't just fail drug tests, he failed expectations time after time. Falling from grace and then somehow, always getting another chance, multiple failed drug tests, 3 UFC suspensions, stripped of the belt 3 times, arrests, DUI, hit and run, firearm charges, fined, sued, and banned over and over again. Fans didn't know whether to cheer for him or give up on him. He was brilliant but reckless, dominant but self-destructive. And through it all, the UFC kept him around. Because Jon Jones didn't just sell fights, he was the fight. How do you come back after all that? How do you return to the throne when you keep setting it on fire? Every time they counted him out, he came back sharper, stronger, more dangerous. The media said he was done. Dana White questioned if he'd ever fight again. Critics called him wasted potential, but Jon Jones didn't listen. He trained in the shadows and returned in the spotlight. UFC 232, the rematch against Alexander Gustafsson, the man who gave Jon the toughest fight of his life. People wondered, would the king reclaim his crown? And just like that, Jon Bones Jones was champion again. No ring rust, no fear. No mercy. Jon would go on to defend his title again against Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, and Dominic Reyes. Were they all dominant performances? Not always, but he stayed undefeated. He stayed the king. So how do you define a legacy like Jon's? By stats, he's beaten more former champions than anyone in UFC history. By skill, his timing, reach, and fight IQ are nearly untouchable. By titles, two-time light heavyweight champion. Most title defenses in the division, but legacy isn't just about what you win. It's about what you survive, and Jon Jones. He's survived everything: injuries, arrests, suspensions, public shame, and he still showed up. Whether loved or hated, Jon Jones is still one of the greatest to ever step into a cage, the GOAT with scars. Love him or hate him, one thing's undeniable. Jon Jones didn't just build a legacy in the cage. He built a fortune. Let's talk numbers. UFC fight purses alone have earned him tens of millions. In his title defenses, Jon regularly pulled in $500,000 to $1 million per fight, and that's before bonuses and pay-per-view shares. He's had over a dozen high-profile bouts, many of them main events. And every main event, another massive paycheck. But Jon's money didn't just come from fighting. At his peak, he was one of the most marketable athletes in MMA. He became the first MMA fighter to sign a global endorsement deal with Nike, Reebok, Monster Energy, and later cryptocurrency endorsements, but controversy came with a cost. After his hit-and-run arrest in 2015, Nike pulled the plug. Other sponsors followed. Each mistake, millions lost. Still, Jones bounced back like always. Monster Energy stuck by him. He restructured deals, explored NFTs, even launched training programs and brand collaborations in the future. Still wide open, with a move to heavyweight, super fights against names like Francis Ngannou or Stipe Miocic could bring 8-figure paydays. Combine that with smart investments, digital endorsements, and branding. Jon Jones could easily double his net worth if he plays it right. Despite the fines, despite the chaos, Jon Jones is still a millionaire fighter with an empire in his hands. The only person who can stop it is Jon Jones himself. Far from the bright lights of Vegas, Jon Jones lives in the high deserts of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and what does he call home? It's not just a house, it's a fortress for a fighter, spanning over 7,000 square feet. Jon's mansion is built for power, peace, and performance. Step inside and you'll find floor-to-ceiling glass windows that flood the home with light and frame the New Mexico mountains like a painting. A luxury chef's kitchen sits at the heart of the home, fit for recovery meals or family dinners. Custom cabinetry, top-of-the-line appliances, and a minimalist layout that screams quiet wealth. But here's where it gets serious. Inside this house is a personal training facility complete with an octagon, weightlifting area, and recovery room. This isn't just where he lives, it's where he prepares to dominate. A private lounge doubles as a shrine to his legacy, UFC belts, rare fight memorabilia, and trophies from every stage of his career. Every belt tells a story. Every scar, a lesson. The Master's Suite offers a quiet escape spa-style bathroom, heated floors, walk-in closet, and blackout windows for recovery after war. There are even zen spaces throughout the home. Jon's life may be chaotic, but inside these walls, peace is part of the plan. Step outside, and the desert opens up. A pool for cooling down, a hot tub for healing, and silence that stretches across the land. Security systems, hidden weapon safes, and customized features remind you this is a home built by a warrior. Not just to live in, but to sharpen himself in. Jon Jones doesn't just move fast in the octagon, he lives fast too. From Lamborghinis to Bentleys, Jones drives as hard as he fights and when he flies. Yeah, it's private, Bentley Continental GT, smooth, powerful, refined, a champion's ride for when Jon wants to keep it classic but bold. Lamborghini Aventador, raw power. Exotic edge, built like a spaceship, drives like a rocket. Cadillac Escalade, big, bold, and fully loaded. Perfect for team trips and those larger-than-life entrances. Custom Dodge Ram, this isn't your average pickup. Lifted suspension, matte black finish, and engine upgrades to match Jon's intensity. Harley-Davidson bikes, and yeah, when the roads open up, Bones goes to wheels deep. A fighter on a Holly is something you don't forget, and when the roads end, Jones takes to the skies private. For fight weeks, training camps, and media runs, he flies via chartered jet. No long lines, no delays, no distractions. Some fighters live for the cage. He built a lifestyle around dominance. And whether it's on land or 30,000 feet in the air, Jon Jones always rolls in style. Knockouts in the octagon, flex outside of it. Because Jon Jones doesn't just fight like a champion, he lives like one too. From Rolexes to rare Jordans, Bones has a taste for the finer things. Let's start with the wrist game. Jon owns a Rolex Daytona, the kind of timepiece that says I'm not just on time, I own time. With its stainless steel casing and black ceramic bezel, it's built like his fight record, clean, strong, and elite. When he steps outside, the fashion speaks loud. We're talking Gucci, Balenciaga, and custom-tailored suits that fit him like armor. It's part fighter, part fashion icon. Then there's the jewelry. Chains that gleam under fight, night lights, custom grills, personalized pendants. Jon's pieces aren't just accessories, they're statements. His mansion walls. They tell stories of art, legacy, and inspiration. Every piece Jon Jones owns has a purpose to reflect the empire he's built and the fighter he's always been. It's high fashion meets high performance. Behind the headlines and controversies, there's another side to Jon Jones, a side few get to see. Jessie Moses has been by his side for years, the fiancée, the mother of his 3 daughters. His anchor when the world feels like it's spinning out of control. Fatherhood changed Jon. 3 little girls have brought light to a life often shadowed by chaos, but with fame and drama, privacy is hard to come by. Jon and Jessie work hard to shield their children from the spotlight. A private family life in a very public world. Still, the strain of public battles arrests suspensions. It felt at home. Jon's personal struggles have taken a toll on his family. But through every high and every low, his role as a father remains the most important fight of all. No matter what happens inside the cage, Jon Jones will always be a dad first, and that is a legacy in its own right. When Albuquerque faced unrest in 2020, Jon Jones didn't stay silent. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work cleaning graffiti, helping rebuild the community he calls home. But his fight isn't just for titles or fame. Bones fights for something bigger: hope, opportunity, and second chances. Through community outreach programs, he mentors the next generation of athletes, teaching discipline, focus, and resilience. Giving back because he knows what it means to struggle. And to rise, Jon supports local charities, donates to youth sports programs. and regularly hosts seminars sharing his story, his lessons, and his drive. For all his controversies, Jon Jones' heart still beats for his community. Because true strength isn't just in the cage, it's in lifting others up. Jon Jones' legacy is a study in contrasts, a story built on pure brilliance and heavy burdens. He is both myth and man. The greatest fighter alive, many say yes, the most complicated. Absolutely. The debates rage on. Is Jon Jones the GOAT of MMA? His skills, fight IQ, and dominance say yes. But his controversies and chaotic personal life complicate the story. His impact on MMA, undeniable. He pushed the sport forward, raised the bar for athleticism and showmanship. So, what's next for Jon Jones? A move to heavyweight, a quest for more gold. Or something beyond the cage. Jon Bones Jones, a legend forged in chaos. A king still fighting for his crown. Is Jon Jones a misunderstood genius or a cautionary tale, or maybe both? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this deep dive, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about the biggest names in sports.